We welcome everybody to another edition of Iowa women's basketball postgame here from the Hawkeye of the Storm. We'll talk about Iowa's dominant victory on the road in Piscataway this evening in just a moment. But as always, want to run through our gamut of sponsors that have helped make this coverage, this show, and this channel, this platform possible all season long. First of all, Brad Van Meter and his team down at State Farm in Des Moines. Give Brad a call and see how he can help you and your family save money on your insurance policies, whether we're talking auto insurance, perhaps it's life insurance, renters, home insurance, whatever you need. I'm sure Brad can probably at least direct you in the right spot, even if maybe someone else needs you to be able to give them some direction. He can certainly help you to do that. Give him a call, 515-256-6480. That's 515-256-6480, or online at bradvanmeter.com. That's Brad Van Meter at State Farm in Des Moines. Also, Iowa Smokehouse, tasting is believing with their tasty and tender meat sticks, their beef jerky. They've also got their salsas, their ketchups, their barbecue sauces. Everything tastes great. It's great quality. It's locally produced. It's an Iowa family that runs this platform, this business, this brand, and it's a great brand that's been around for a long, long time. Iowa Smokehouse down in Albia. Visit iowasmokehouse.com to browse their selection of tasty snacks. You can use the code Hawkeyes for 15% off your total order. You also get free shipping when you spend $50. So if you spend $50, get your your 15% off, and then you'll get the free shipping right to your doorstep, courtesy of Iowa Smokehouse. And finally, last but certainly not least, want to thank RTI Threads. Yes, Cooper DeJean declared for the draft yesterday, but boy, what a career he had at Iowa. And RTI Threads still a proud partner of Cooper DeJean. And I'm sure the merchandise is flying off the shelves more than it even was before, simply because won't be long and Cooper will be a pro player, and we'll be hearing his name on draft day in April. But in the meantime, shop his apparel line, his merch line at cd3lacesup.com. That's cd3lacesup.com. You can also check out the merch lines of the Gravedigger, Aaron Graves, Carson Shire, Aiden Hall, and Zach Lutmer, who has an interesting backstory. We actually interviewed Zach on a show around signing day about a year ago, and he's got some similarities. There's some parallels between him and Cooper DeJean. Not saying he's the next Cooper DeJean, but you might consider buying stock now. Visit rtithreads.com to check out all the great merch, courtesy of RTI Threads. So, the Iowa Hawkeyes with the win this evening, 103-69 on a night in which the Scarlet Knights honored Vivian Stringer, the former Rutgers head coach that took them to a multiple Final Fours. Of course, she also took Iowa to the Final Four. Will go down as an all-time great in the coaching ranks, is a Hall of Famer. You see the stat line there at the bottom, and we'll get to my RTI Threads player of the game in just a second. But how about the night from all of these ladies? This is the kind of production that they need, especially on the road. This team that played tonight could have beaten probably anybody in the Big Ten, maybe anybody in the country. And, you know, we're coming on the heels of a game against Michigan State on Tuesday, in which I made the comment that they cannot win against the best teams in the country with it being a two-man show or a two-woman show. And it was not a two-woman show tonight. Of course, Caitlin Clark got her normal 25, 10, and 10. In fact, to be more specific, she had 29, 10, and 10. Let's correct that. I don't believe she was credited with an 11th assist. So let's correct that. 10 assists for Caitlin Clark to go along with those 29 points. 10 rebounds. Kate Martin had 17 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. Hannah Stolke, 10, 7, and 4. And how about this? Gabby Marshall, 12 points, 4 made threes. 4 made threes for Gabby Marshall. Huge step in the right direction for her tonight. And people have been touting her career three-point percentage. It's been much better than what her season percentage has been this year. But you're waiting for the light to come on. Now, Gabby did have a similar performance on the road at UNI back in November, and then kind of quickly returned back to the struggles. So, can she sustain this into the next game? The bad news is Iowa will not be on the floor again until next Wednesday. So kind of an extended break, about a 5-day break. But if she can carry this over to the next game, that's obviously a great sign moving forward, because she is in a very important piece. And we talked about three-point shooting in general, how important it is that these Iowa ladies shoot the three well. And I think that transpired tonight. Again, this is a Rutgers team that's overmatched. They're down their leading scorer, but they did. It was mentioned during the broadcast that they had pushed Purdue, who Iowa actually plays next. They had pushed Purdue to the very last second the other night, and this was a sellout in Piscataway, I'm sure, in large part because of their opponent, Caitlin Clark and the Hawkeyes. But I'm looking at three-point percentage here, folks. And for the game, Iowa shot 40% on 25 attempts. Bravo. That is exactly what you want. Clark had 3 of them, 9 attempts. You can live with that. I don't think you want Caitlin Clark taking 20 to 33s. That's insane. She took 20 the other night against Michigan State. That's a lot. 9 attempts is plenty. And she only shot 33%. Actually struggled in the first quarter. But how about this? 2 threes from Molly Davis. She was 2 of 2. Gabby Marshall with 4 threes. She was 4 of 7. Taylor McCabe did not make let's see. Taylor McCabe did make a 3. Made 1 3 late. And, yeah, that's all she wrote. But that's what you need. Kate Martin didn't make a 3. But if you can get that type of production out of any one of those 3, we keep talking about those 3, Molly Davis, Gabby Marshall, Kate Martin, you'll take it. And Kate Martin contributes in so many other ways. Yes, Gabby is more dependent on that shot going down. Yes, she gives great effort on the defensive end. but she becomes a liability on offense if she's not making threes. She made threes tonight, and that's what her job is. And this team's a lot better when she's knocking down threes. I don't think it's that complicated. And so congratulations to her. Big game. You hope that can be carried over to the next game. The Hawkeyes move on to face Purdue next Wednesday with just the one loss to Kansas State. Let's go to our Iowa Smokehouse call-in line. We'll go to Ryan first. Ryan, welcome.
Good weekend, Cory. How are you?
It's not the weekend yet, but I'm doing good, Ryan.
Yeah, it's basically the weekend. Hey,
take it.
Hey, what happened to the beard, man?
The beard?
Yeah, it looks like you took a razor to your face.
Oh no, I still got some.
Well, yeah, wasn't as thick as I was expecting. Yeah. All right.
I trimmed it. I had it trimmed up. Is that okay?
Oh, hey. All right.
You gotta do good. It's all about the maintenance there, Ryan.
All right, man. Yeah, I tried it a year ago, and I'm pure gray, and I just can't do it.
Yeah, I know it's funny. Not to go on a beard tangent, but a lot of people that I've talked to recently about beards, it seems like the beards start going gray before the head. So I know.
Yeah, well, in my case, I was dark 5 years ago, and those days are in my rearview mirror.
Yeah.
Anyway, just wanted to first of all say, shout out to Rutgers for showing a lot of class. They had a moment of silence for the victims in Perry, and I'm not surprised that they're just a class outfit, and I really wish them well, except for tomorrow with the men. As far as today goes, obviously Gabby, that was huge. But once again, my girl Sydney Alfalter, double, 17 minutes. All she does is winning plays, and I really think she's going to be one of the difference makers that if and when we go pretty far in the tournament. I think she's going to be a huge reason why. She doesn't get talked about near enough, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's my mistake for leaving her off, because she was in double figures with 10 and 10. So I'm glad you brought Sydney Falter up. I mean, it's pretty hard to get 5 players in double figures and then one with 8, 2 with 8. But again, when you score 103 on the road in the Big Ten, that's probably going to take 4 or 5 gals in double figures. And you're right about Sydney. She maybe doesn't always get the credit that she deserves. I think if she made more threes or took more threes, because I think she can make shots, but she just doesn't take a ton. She's not a high volume player. 3 of 4 from the field, very efficient with what she does. And she's a good defender. I mean, she's just a hard worker, a good defender and a scrapper.
She just does she's a glue girl, she does all the little things that successful teams have to have. And, you can argue that she should be a starter, but, as long as she plays her role, I just think she's phenomenal. She's my second favorite player on the team, I think. So,
yeah, I think that's fair. And she's going to be, I think, especially once you come tournament time and, she's coming off the bench. She's the 6th person off the bench right now. I know Feuerbach is, actually played a couple more minutes. I was surprised by that because her minutes have kind of dwindled. But she played 19 tonight. Her production has went down, taking a little bit of a hit, as have the bigs, the production of the bigs. But I think a Falter is the most important player off the bench just because what she gives you. They're not getting a ton off the bench. You look at the stat sheet, they're not getting, after a Falter, they're really not getting much. Some of those points for Goodman and O'Grady, some of them came during when the game was still somewhat in doubt. But, 1 point from Kyler Feuerbach. Taylor McCabe makes 1 3. O'Grady gives you 5.
I could argue, though, with a little additional, I know where's it going to come from, but with a little additional playing time, I really think Taylor McCabe could be a real lethal weapon off the bench. She really has a fantastic shot. She's going to be really good when, the big 3, which is Martin, Marshall, and who's the other one? Can't think of her name. Just kidding. When those 3 move on, she's gonna be a big factor.
She's got to be a better defender. I think that's probably where Iowa would argue, Gabby's struggling from 3, and maybe Taylor could pick up the pace there. But Gabby's, I don't think Gabby's the quickest laterally, but she gives you really great effort on defense. And I don't know that the effort's not there for Taylor, but I think Gabby's a better defender right now, regardless of the reason why. And you hope Taylor gets there, because you're right. You can be a 3-and-D person at any level in today's day and age of basketball. It's valuable.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Before I sign off, any prediction on the offensive coordinator? I know this is a women's show.
You want me to make a prediction of who I think it will be?
Yeah. I'm not asking if you know anything. I'm just saying, just if you were to guess. If you were to put $10 on it.
Well, as you know, I'm not a betting man. I would say the favorite, in my opinion, right now, is Paul Chryst. That's the safe guess, because there's another person or two that, it could be. And I just think the safe guess is Paul Chryst. I'm more intrigued by the other options, but I don't mind the Paul Chryst idea by any means. And neither does Kirk Ferentz.
Yeah, based on what Brad was saying, my dream scenario of co-offensive coordinator with Philbin and Paul Chryst, Paul handling quarterbacks, Philbin handling a line, doesn't sound likely, because apparently Kirk just thinks George Barnett is, the real deal here, but we'll see.
George Barnett?
Well, no, it doesn't sound like his job's in any jeopardy. I mean,
no, from the Kirk perspective, no. No,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a staff change. It's not going to come from the O-line coach.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering if Copeland might be looking to move on. Let's face it, wide receiver is just not a thing in the Kirk era in the last 10 years or so. So yeah. Who knows?
Appreciate you giving the shout out to Brad Van Meter for making some
adjustments. I thought he made some fantastic adjustments today. He saved somebody money.
Now remember, he's not an adjuster. He is not an adjuster, but he's good at making adjustments.
Yeah, I mean, he saved somebody some money today, I'm sure. So shout out to Brad. And hey, man, have a good weekend. And hopefully we win tomorrow. We really need this one bad, really bad.
Absolutely.
So take care, man. Have a good weekend.
Appreciate it, sir. Appreciate Ryan calling our Iowa Smokehouse call-in line. Dale, premium subscriber. Thank you, Dale, for being a premium member here from the Hawkeye of the Storm. Glad to see Gabby Marshall hit her shots. Be patient with her. All right, Dale. I will take it. Gabby Marshall is our RTI Threads player of the game. So congratulations to Gabby Marshall. I wonder when Lisa's going to announce that to the team, that she won from the Hawkeye of the Storm's RTI Threads player of the game. So somebody send the memo over to her. 12 points on 4 of 7 shooting for Gabby Marshall. And they were all open. She's going to have open looks. That's just how it's going to be. Even without someone who is a back to the basket type of player like Monica Sonano, everything's going to filter and function through the play of Caitlin Clark. And the nice thing about Molly Davis, she's proven to be able to hit shots. She's been sporadic, but she can hit jump shots. She's shown the ability, the willingness to get in the lane. And she's got pretty good vision. She's a natural point guard. That's been well documented. It was talked about it during tonight's BTN broadcast. And Gabby's going to have open looks. Kate Martin's going to have open looks. Molly's going to have open looks. Sydney Falter will have open looks. Kylie Feuerbach will have open looks. And if you can make 10 threes a game, that's not that many. Like, that is not that many. And for Iowa, you think about scoring as many points as they did, and only 30 of them were from 3. That's, first of all, an indication that Iowa's getting to the rim easily to some extent. I mean, I didn't think Rutgers was bad defensively early. In fact, I thought they caused Iowa some problems the first few minutes. Caitlin Clark got off to a slow start. But in general, as the game went on, Iowa got out in transition. I think wore Rutgers down, wore them down on the glass. Iowa dominated on the glass tonight, 51-34. in favor of the Hawks. And Ren Rutgers just struggled offensively, 37% overall from the field, just 5 threes made on 22% shooting for the Scarlet Knights. Destiny Adams, the best player on this team as of right now, active player on this team. She finished with just 20 minutes played and 11 points. They're not going to win games if she's in foul trouble. Not with the relatively thin lineup that they have right now. So Iowa took advantage of it, and eventually I thought the pace favored Iowa. Again, early I thought Rutgers was able to kind of keep it slow, but it's tough to slow things down against Iowa unless you have a decided advantage on the glass. Because if you don't and you can't create some second chance opportunities, we saw the person, you don't shoot well, like 37%. That's a lot of misses to get back off of. And Iowa finished with 23 fast break points. Again, not terrible if you're Rutgers, but they also got killed in the half court. And as far as turnovers are concerned, Iowa with it was actually pretty close. Iowa with 9, Rutgers with 11. So that's the one category that Rutgers at least held their own with turnovers. But again, Iowa with the decided advantage on the scoreboard at the end of the night, 103-69. Let's go to our next caller. We have got, Ben is on hold. Ben, welcome. Okay, Ben's not there. Let's go to our next Iowa Smokehouse caller. A different Ben. Ben, welcome.
Hey, Cory. It was nice to see, Gabby getting her shot back because, she's really been struggling, these past games. And, it's just really good to see it, that her shot is starting to fall. And I think that second half Gabby is going to be very, very lethal for this team, or very important for this team.
I agree. And I was kind of hoping that she would get a 5th or a 6th. I was kind of hoping she'd play late in the 4th quarter. I mean, I understand I'm usually the one that's hounding Lisa Bluter to get players out, specifically, Caitlin Clark, and she didn't come out until they were up by like 40. But anyways, as it relates to Marshall, I just hope it gets carried over. I would prefer they play in 2 games, but I'm sure she's shooting well in practice. So I think it's probably just a matter of when and where it starts to become consistent again. It is a concern that she struggled first half of last season. She's struggling first half of this season. But now that we're turning the corner into 2024 and the heart of Big Ten play, perhaps that light has flashed on, is going to stay on.
Yeah, and I just feel like that, O'Grady needs to play more because, she's just, I just think that she should be playing more because, this, when Stolke isn't doing well, then I just feel like O'Grady should go in.
Well, like I said, there are going to be games, I think you're right, Ben, where she's going to play because we've seen Hannah struggle with certain matchups, physical matchups where she's undersized. She's not a natural 5, and not a lot of teams can bring that size in the women's game, but the best teams typically do. That's where lost to Kansas State, struggle with Virginia Tech, go down the list, struggle with Iowa State, Naughty Crooks. So I agree with you. I think there will be games where absolutely she's going to be called upon, as is Sharon Goodman. And they're best, I think, with Stolke at the 10 running and gunning, but they need all the help at the 5 position they can get.
Yeah, and like I've said multiple times, I feel like Stolke missed some shots where she was wide open and that the defender was, smaller than her and that she should have, made. But overall, I feel like, she had a pretty good game.
Yeah, 5 of 8 from the field. She's not taking deep jump shots. We've seen her make a couple of threes, but she's playing her role well, and she's staying out of foul trouble right now. That's probably the biggest thing, and she's staying healthy.
Yeah, and over to football now. It was just nice to see Jamari come back. I mean, I asked you on a previous show if you thought he was going to come back, and I knew he was going to come back, and it's just nice to see that experience. All the guys that have an opportunity to come back, they're coming back. So
you said you knew he was going to come back?
Or I had pretty good speculation that he was going to come back.
Well, I'm glad he did. Boy, I tell you, with the Cooper DeJean news, I think the Jamari Harris news is bigger than we initially thought, at least bigger than I initially thought it would be. He's got an opportunity to be the star in the defensive backfield. So I don't think many people anticipated that. Xavier Wampa is going to have to step up. I know he's not a corner, but they got some work to do in that defensive back. Losing a lot of production, with potentially Castro, Schulte, and Cooper, although we're still waiting to hear from Sebastian.
Yeah, and it was just nice to see Cooper, declare for the draft. I think he's going to be a good player in the NFL. I think he's going to be like a kind of like a Tim White type player, where he's going to be a good returner. And I think that if he gets drafted in the first round, I think he's going to be like I saw something like the first white corner ever to be drafted in the first round.
Probably, yeah. Who's the guy from the Giants that?
Jason Sehorn.
Sehorn, yeah. He wasn't a first-round draft pick, though.
No, I mean, you look at Iowa and white cornerbacks. I mean, Riley Moss and Cooper DeJean. I feel like that there will be more that are coming for sure.
Absolutely, sir.
All right, we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Ben. Appreciate it. Yeah. Sports news. Thank you for being here. But you say, Cory, hurry up. Well, first of all, we're going to address this in a second. Cory, you need better sponsors. Yeah. No, I don't actually. Actually, we have terrific sponsors. Yeah, don't be weird, bro. Like, I don't know why you're being weird, but I think what Esther said in the chat is probably fair. Chill out. Don't speak negatively. If you're going to get me to block you, it's going to be because you start ripping on sponsors, the people who make this show possible. So if you don't like it, then why don't you? You're here watching the show, so if you don't like the sponsors, then pony over the support yourself, and then people can complain about you. So that's what I would say. I don't know. Maybe there's some lighthearted gab there, but let's not joke about people that are important to the goings on here at the platform. So anyways, moving on. Barbara is in the chat. It's the Hawkeye women's team, not Lady Hawks. Why do people keep saying this? Did I say Lady Hawks? Who said this? Wait, did I say this, Barbara? I don't know that I've ever used the term Lady Hawks. I don't think I've ever used that term before. It got brought up the other day, but anyways, Esther, good to see you here, and I am doing well. Thank you for asking. I'm doing well today. It's a Friday, so I know a lot of people are happy the weekend is ahead of us. Sports news. What are the chances Iowa lands Madden Greenway, Jenica Lewis? I will admit I am not a recruiting guy as it relates to Iowa women's basketball. I'm really not a recruiting guy in general. There's only so much I can do. But our friends over at HawkeyeReport.com do a pretty good job. I will send you over there to HawkeyeReport.com. I know Kyle Huseman, Tom Kakert, and those guys are hard at work with recruiting. Certainly Madden Greenway being, we call her a legacy recruit. Obviously her dad played linebacker at Iowa, tremendous pro player. And she's kind of a phenom as well, high school phenom. So we'll see what she does. And I don't know about Jenica Lewis, but I would think Iowa has a chance with both. ZJ says, a question for you. I know how you feel about Lisa keeping starters up 30. If an opponent keeps their starters in down 40 with 5 minutes left in the game, couldn't Lisa keep her starters in? Well, she can do whatever she wants, ZJ. It's got nothing to do with sportsmanship for me in this case. What it has to do with is keeping players healthy. So, if you're up 40, you're not going to give up a 40-point lead in 10 minutes. You're just not going to. And so, if Rutgers cuts the lead to 20, big deal. If they got all their starters in to do it, big deal. Who cares? 20, 40, doesn't matter. Keep players healthy. That's my only concern. I'm not concerned about the sportsmanship side of things because I don't think that's bad sportsmanship keeping players in the game. I just think it's foolish as it relates to health, especially when you have a generational type of player like Caitlin Clark. Okay, let's go back to our phone line. We have got our Iowa Smokehouse line. We've got James joining. James, welcome.
What's up? How you doing?
What's up, man? I'm doing good.
I'm better now that we won, obviously. That's always makes you feel better. But in general, especially this way, obviously I have to come off a tough game against Michigan State. I feel like I'm not going to say easy one because no game's ever easy, but to make it look easier and to get all the people to play, I think there's always something big too, where it's like, to me, I feel like getting everybody to play is always big, especially in a Big Ten game, because you might need those people eventually, and you need them to get as much experience as you can, especially in the Big Ten.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm pleased with the fact that this is. I mean, obviously Iowa outscored teams last year, scored a lot of points. They're going to as long as Caitlin's here, but you're seeing players like Jada. You're seeing players like Kenise Johnson. I guess she dropped the ETN because we just call her Kenise Johnson now. We're seeing those young players get substantial time in Big Ten play, and that's not always been the case. AJ Ediger is another one. I don't know if they're going to be called on this season. I doubt that happens unless the injury bug starts haunting this team. But having as much experience as they have, it's just nice to see younger players play late in the game. That's another reason to get the best players out early.
I got a couple more things. One person I want to see a little bit more of in a game like this, especially since being serious at all at Michigan State, I feel like it's Taylor McCabe. I feel like 11 minutes. I feel like she should have played more like 17, 18. Just because, like, for me, maybe you can get a shot going a little bit, and then when you need her in situations, she can get a shot going in a game like this. She might be able to get a shot going. Then if you need her in a bigger time game, she get her shot going because she's playing more in games that are kind of blowouts. I feel like I don't understand why she only played 11 minutes. I feel like that's a little weird.
Well, I said it earlier to our first call. It was Ryan. I don't think she's the best defensively either.
I understand that. What you said was you're up 30, you're up 40. At that point, really, no matter if she's the best defensively.
Well, wasn't she in there? It wasn't.
Yeah, but I'm saying like she only played 11 minutes, though, and you're kind of have it in hand. I feel like if she played a couple more minutes, I don't feel like it would have been that big of an issue.
Yeah, I mean, I think she deserves more minutes. I think I'm guessing that Lisa, and she may just say that this was matchup based, but I'm guessing that Lisa looked at recent minutes for Kylie Feuerbach and said, "Hey, we got to play her more." I think she played like 3 or 4 minutes against Michigan State. She played 19.
19, yeah, 19. Yeah.
So to me, that's an indication that was a concerted adjustment there. But
yeah,
maybe they'll do with Taylor. I mean, she's still young. She redshirted last year, right?
She should be a freshman redshirt. I don't see she play. She didn't play at all last year. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so she should be able to give them at least 3 years after this year. I mean, it's a loaded front court right now.
For sure. A loaded. And obviously, the last comment you just had about Falter, I feel like Falter's the underdog in this team in retrospective. Like, she gives you so much in the rebounding category, so much more, I think, than most of us expected outside of, obviously, the Iowa basketball room. You know what I mean? Like, outside of, like, obviously, Lisa Bluder and the coaches and the players, like, I think she's given us more than you expected and me expected. Because I don't think you expected her to get this many rebounds per game and rebound as well as she has this year. Am I wrong, or did you expect that or not?
No, of course not. I mean,
yeah. See, so like that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like you didn't expect that from her, and it's good to see her kind of take that jump too, because you do need that other person.
Yeah, and by the way, our person in the chat here brings the same thing you just set up. You'd like to see specifically. I think if there's anybody that you're going to complain about not getting enough minutes, maybe you complain about Addison O'Grady. Obviously, we've been talking about that since day one. But I think Taylor's ability to make threes. I also think Jan Jensen, Lisa Bluder know, hey, we've got gals who can make threes on the court right now in Kate Martin, obviously Marshall, Molly Davis, who I'm missing, Molly Davis. So at some point, they're going to start making shots. I think that's probably the attitude from Iowa, but that is Taylor McCabe's specialty. At least it was in high school.
But you have to admit, I mean, there's been games where they haven't hit threes. So maybe if you can get Taylor McCabe going a little bit, she can be an option where you throw her in for a little bit. Maybe she can hit a couple of threes that you might need in the game down the stretch. That was the only point I was trying to make in that retrospective. Molly and Gabby haven't been consistent from three. So, like, you don't know if you can trust them. If you can maybe play Taylor more and get some consistency, and you maybe can play her for 1 or 2 minutes, she hits 1 or 2 threes. You never know. That could be the game decision there in a bigger game.
I'm just curious, James, you're an avid women's basketball fan. M. Finn wants to know, well, he just made the comment. Clark came out shortly after she got her triple-double. We never really addressed that specifically, but it does seem to be.
I feel like I feel like they chase it, if that's what you're trying to ask. I feel like she chases it a lot.
Well, I think they do. I mean, Lisa said this much, that they really value triple-doubles. And how do you feel about that as a fan?
But to me, I feel like, well, I'm a basketball coach too. I coach basketball at the high school level. So for me, I feel like it's kind of a pity way. Like, if I was on the other team, I would feel like that's not a triple double. Like, it's a triple double, but it's not really a triple double. It's with the fight. We're already blowing you out. You have to come back in to get the triple double. Like, in that situation, you really shouldn't have been in the game, but you had to come back in to get it. Like, to me, I kind of feel like it's a triple double, but I see why people can mock it as a triple double, if that makes sense. Why people can come back, triple doubles aren't all natural in retrospective. Like, she comes back in when you're already up 30, 40, and gets whatever she needs. Or she keeps hunting the assists all the time, like, because, like, you see sometimes where she has 9 assists and she'll know she has 9 assists. And what does she do? she just keeps forcing it until she gets 10 a lot of times. And I feel like that's a bad look from the outside. Maybe not from us, but from the outside it looks bad. And I can understand why they look at it that way.
Yeah, so our gal in the chat here, Kathy, says McCabe is a sophomore. And I'm looking at the roster. She absolutely is.
No, maybe I don't know.
Well, what I found interesting is I'm looking at the website here, and I don't remember this, but she had 12 points against Rutgers last year.
But you can play. I thought you could play. Oh, that's not my conference game. So yeah, you wouldn't be able to redshirt if you play a conference game.
So I think a good question would be, why'd you burn her red shirt on, I don't know how many games she played. I mean, I'm only seeing one on the Iowa website. I'm sure she played more than one.
She probably played the rest. But if you only played her one conference game and burnt the red shirt off of that, I feel like that's
no. I don't think that's what happened. But I don't know what her. Let me see if I can find this here. I am curious to know if she
how much she played last year. Yeah,
she really. I
don't remember ever seeing her last year that much, especially in retrospect of like you had Warnock as well too with Martin and Fearbach was out obviously, but you had Martin, Marshall, and Warnock last year, so you really didn't need.
No, she played in a bunch of games. I'm looking at her game log right now.
Was that when blowout? Was it garbage time a lot of times though?
I'm sure it was, but probably, I mean,
yeah. But for me,
for
me in that situation, I would have just redshirted her in retrospect of you. I understand their point too, though you don't want to play her, but
the problem with the women's game too, and
you don't have enough scholarships, and you don't have enough.
You don't have enough roster spots.
Yeah, you don't have enough roster spots. Yeah,
they don't have non-scholarship players. They don't have walk-ons.
Yeah.
So I mean, like I'm looking at Taylor McCabe. She played 14 minutes against Southern a year ago, 16 against Evansville, 5 against Belmont, 1 against North Carolina State, 5 against Wisconsin, 1 against Purdue, 13 against Dartmouth.
Yeah, see, most of those are just the big 4 teams that you shouldn't.
I don't know what the solution there is other than you got to have walk-ons in your roster, and I'm not. Again, that's a great question for Jan Jensen. Why can't we get more walk-ons on?
I don't think. I don't know if the NCAA. I don't know how the NCAA rules are for that.
No, why the NCAA rules would be any different?
I don't think there is a rule. I think they can have walk-ons. I just think they don't, and I don't know why they don't. To be honest with you, but
I wouldn't think that would be that difficult to get walk-ons, but maybe it is
for sure. But I feel like it's a good momentum piece for us. Obviously, like I said, after the close game. But I'm glad we see another scoring. I think it's the biggest thing. That's the thing everybody in there kind of been worried about. Like especially at the Michigan State is nobody's hit threes. Like it was only one person who really hit threes against Michigan State, and now you kind of see them spreading the wealth a little bit. And I feel like that's something that is great as well. And obviously, what we get at Purdue next, I think that's going to be I don't know how good Purdue is on the women's side. I'm looking right now; they're 9-5 and 2-1 in conference. So, I mean, that's okay, but it's not great. I mean, we'll see what happens. They beat this team. They beat Rutgers by 1 last time. They played Rutgers on
a few days ago.
Yeah, a few days ago, and they beat them by 1. They beat them by 1. So maybe that means they're not as good. So hopefully that's a game we can get. I know on the boys side playing in Mackey's different. I don't know about the girls, but I don't know how much support they have. Because girls sports get a lot of different support than men's. But
I think a lot of these road venues are, not I'm going to say half Iowa fans, but a lot.
Yeah, most of them are there to watch Caitlin Clark play, and so I think that's why. Even if you're at Indiana, like maybe you're not even a Purdue fan or an Indiana fan, you're just a basketball fan. I've seen some people just go for that reason to watch Caitlin Clark play, just because they're a basketball fan a lot of times too. And that's just the effect she has on people for sure. But I'll get to a couple more football things. First off, I know this is a basketball show, obviously, but first off, Cooper, I know he doesn't watch these shows probably, but I wish him good luck in his life, whatever he has going on the rest of the season. I hope he has a great NFL career. And I think it's the most important thing to come out of Iowa. We just want to always see them be great at the next level. And I think that's most important for him, especially I know all he's been through this year with the injury and all that stuff too. I hope he can overcome that, have a great year next year. And hopefully he can participate in the combine and just show what he has to everybody who doubts him. I don't know who doubts him, but anybody that does doubt him, I hope he can prove them wrong as well.
I find it strange. I'm no NFL scout, but I find it strange that he's projected to go late first round.
Mel Kiper has him as the number one. I know everybody has different ones, but Mel Kiper, who's the big one on ESPN, he has him as number 1 corner overall. So
how
I don't know.
How high in the first round is the number 1 corner?
He had him 13th on the big board.
Yeah, that's. I think he's deserving of a top 10 pick, but again, I'm not a scout. I just don't know. He's got speed. He's got size. I don't know what he lacks, but there's certainly hips, all these things. As a cover corner, I think he's one of the best in college. I mean, I don't. Uh,
Yeah, it could be also be some of Iowa's system in retrospect of like a lot of zone and a lot of we don't play as much man as they would in the NFL. I feel like maybe that could be the issue that some people have with it, if that makes sense. Like you don't know how he's gonna act when you're going to play a man. That could maybe be what some people see as like kind of an issue, because I know that was kind of some of the knocks on, like, obviously Desmond King's size was knocking him too, but one of the knocks was he doesn't play as much man as some teams would like in the NFL, and that's kind of one of the reasons he dropped. So like I think that has part to do with it. But
guys like but again,
yeah.
I mean, guys like the Iowa's had plenty of numbers at corner and at safety, and whether Cooper ends up playing corner or safety.
Yeah. Well, do you think Desmond King would have been first on pick if he left after he won the Jim Thorpe Award?
I think he wasn't he projected as a first rounder?
Yeah, he was, but and then he came back. Obviously, didn't get judged to the 5th round, but he still made a great career out of himself. So obviously, that's been good. But one thing I want to say too is Jamari. I've seen a lot of people that kind of hate on Jamari just with like, oh, he plays off so far. Oh, he does this. Oh, he does that. It's like, you got to understand that's how the defense is. The defense plays 7 yards off, 10 yards off sometimes, because that's how we play our zone defense, right? That's how we've always played our zone defense. So sometimes
he's not doing that because
he's not doing that. He's not doing that on purpose. That's just the way the defense is.
Well, he's doing it on purpose, but
he's not. I mean, he's doing it on purpose, but he's not doing it because he wants to do it. He's doing it because the defense is. Yeah. You get what I'm saying. Like, but I know he's a great kid. I know he's been through a lot in his life, and I'm happy to see him come back, and I hope he does great in his 6th year. He's a great kid, obviously, as you said earlier in your video, and all he's been through with the LWI, the injury, the suspension. Like, just to see him overcome all that and be the player he has at Iowa for 5 years, I think is something that you can never hold. And obviously, I know Schulte and Castro and Jackson are the only 3 you're waiting on, right?
Technically, well, no, yeah, Schulte, Castro, Jackson, and we've not gotten an official announcement from Eric All.
He's not coming back, though. He's not coming back.
He's not. But we've not gotten an official announcement, and until you get official announcement, I guess it's.
I mean, I'm like 99% sure he's not coming back from what I've heard from other people. But
I mean, I'd take him back. I
would, but I mean, I also want him back, but I wouldn't in a way, because I do want to see what Ostranga can kind of do as the number 2 going into a season 2, because I do think Ostranga's really good as well. So I think that kind of makes it too. But
they got a bunch of young guys coming in.
Yeah, and I think they got a chance to get all 3 of those guys back. So if they can get all 3 of those guys back, that sets us up pretty well for defense, and hopefully we can have a good basketball season to get us away from that. But how long do you think the coach until we find out what the OC is going to be? And what's your thoughts on the quarterback not even coming to visit?
Ty Thompson. Yeah. I don't know. That was just a report. I never talked to Ty Thompson, so like, I don't even know. Like, I'm not saying it was an inaccurate report, but I could report tomorrow that the NCAA is about to give Bo Nix an extra year, and he's planning on coming to Iowa, and then it doesn't happen, and be like, well, I guess they changed their mind. I don't know. I mean, I was surprised when I heard that he was going to come to Iowa, but it made kind of sense because his
mom's from Iowa. Yeah, his mom's from
Iowa.
His
aunt lives in Iowa. He visited here, was offered at a high school, but I viewed it as far-fetched in the first place. So, who knows? Did Tulane throw a bag at him? I can't imagine there's that much in the Tulane.
Yeah, but I mean, they are in New Orleans, so they might have more sponsorships than we know, just being in a bigger city.
It's been a successful G5 program over recent times. So,
yeah. But it'd be interesting to see it. I mean, I do agree with you. I think we said in the G1 that they should go to corner for that one scholarship opening in the portal. I think maybe it's something to look at. No offense to like Deshaun Lee, TJ Hall, but like
they do not have open scholarships, James.
I thought since Cooper didn't come back, they have one.
No.
Or is it because Nick Jackson could take his one? Is that what it is?
Well, Jamari's on a 6th year. Jamari's on a 6th year.
Sure. But like, wouldn't Cooper have had? Because like, if they all came back, did we not have any scholarships for them all to come back? Then is that what?
Correct. Yeah, they would all be coming back, and then they would. The hope would be that somebody else enters the portal, and it would.
I get you.
They really don't have scholarships to throw around right
now. I didn't know that. I thought that because one of them left, they had a scholarship left.
I don't know what the total is right now, but they're not. Yeah. They don't technically have a scholarship available. And if they
then
can
why would you have a quarterback come in if you don't have a scholarship available? Is my question. That's the one thing that I don't think we understood. Like, if the rumor is true, right? We don't know if the rumor is true, right? If the rumor is true, why would you have a quarterback come in if you don't have a scholarship open? That's the thing I don't understand.
Well, I guess, like I said, they're counting on somebody leaving. Portal window's still open, and then you also have the portal window after spring.
Yeah.
So, they're assuming somebody's going to leave at some point.
Yeah. But it's not a good way to go about it. But obviously, somebody's going to leave. But I don't know if that's a good way to go about it.
It's a difficult situation to be in because you don't want to let these
guys.
You
also get a commitment from somebody. You can get a commitment with Ty Thompson, and then nobody leaves, and then that's a bad look for us. Leaving him out to dry, because nobody left. That's a bad look for us, and it's kind of like a.
James, can I get you to read Katie's comment here that she posted?
Yeah, sorry. I know I talk too much, Katie. My bad. It's all right.
Katie, I appreciate you. You're here for the women's game, and we went on a tangent about football. So
it's just we get a lot of chance to talk about football sometimes in the off season, and
we will. We'll be doing a show here. We'll be doing a couple live shows this month, and yeah.
But on to the girls' game. Before I leave, we'll go back to the girls' game. I guess since this is what this show is all about, is just good to see a win. Obviously, hopefully, it's not one and done for Gabby in retrospect of like the 3-point shooting.
Yeah,
and I think that's something. I think that's something that we haven't talked about either enough too. Is like it could be one and done. I think that's a little scary because you don't understand. She could have one good game and then go back to her ways. Hopefully, this gets her on the uptick of shooting three as well.
Right. Absolutely, I agree.
Enjoy your night, and I appreciate everything you do. Like I say all the time, and appreciate all the sponsors as well for this show. Because without them, it wouldn't make this possible. So,
Ontario Thompson just committed to Western Michigan.
That's a weird leave. And I know this is basketball show, so I don't know if I want to get into what my thoughts are.
Let's not get into it. But
I'll just message you what my thoughts are. So
all right, sounds good, James. Thank you, sir.
Sounds good. Yep. Bye.
Appreciate James. Yes, Katie, thank you for being here for women's basketball coverage. Hopefully you didn't join halfway through. We did talk about the women like the first 75% of the show, I guess. But anyways, Brandon says, got the Cooper DeJean RTI Threads hoodie. And it's not a fair catch. It was not a fair catch yesterday, that shirt. Yes, get your Cooper DeJean apparel today. I've got it on. I've got the CD3 Laces Up hoodie on. And they are sponsoring our women's basketball coverage throughout the year. And they continue to expand their NIL footprint even into baseball here very soon. They've got the Cooper DeJean apparel, also apparel and merch for Aaron Graves, Carson Shire, Aiden Hall, Zach Lutmer. Support Iowa athletes by supporting NIL. And the lineup at rtithreads.com, original Hawkeye player content over at rtithreads.com. All right, let's go back to our Iowa Smokehouse call-in line. Let's go to our phone line. Thank you for calling our Iowa postgame show here. Who is on the line?
Lansky, Cory, good evening.
Good evening, Lansky. How are you?
Good. I think you have excellent sponsors, and you have sponsors that have ties that are Iowa graduates, and I think your sponsors are top shelf.
Yeah. Well, people complain about the sponsors. I guarantee you don't donate, don't contribute any way other than just trolling in the chat. So it doesn't really matter.
I think one of the interesting things that Lisa has to evaluate is that it's a different team than last year without Zuzana, which is one of my favorite players. And I only coach youth basketball, the same kids for 3 years. But one of my challenges was, do we have the inside game? Do we move the ball? Do we have the ability to get inside bucket when people are cold? And that inside-outside game, Lisa's even talked about it, is that our movement of the ball, sometimes she would like it at a higher level, and that inside-outside game for an open three-pointer. And it's going to be interesting, and I'd like your comment on this overall. Are we going to have enough development of any big to help us with that inside game and kick it back out for a three because the three is so dominant in men and women's basketball? Or are we not going to have it and we're going to have somebody step up from the perimeter? And I know callers are, we have our own opinions, but I think it's a dynamic that's really going to be interesting in the next 60 days. And that dynamic and of how it develops will determine how far we go. And I hope we find it, Cory.
I agree. We've talked about the different makeup of post play on this team. And, we've seen less and less of the true bigs and Goodman and O'Grady and even the little bit of Edgar we saw early in the season. There's a lot of pressure being put on Hannah Stolke right now, and everything works through Caitlin Clark. I mean, that's not breaking any news to anybody. So it will be interesting to see, Caitlin's ability to break people down. Kylie Feuerbach can do that a little bit, but other than Kylie, it's basically the Caitlin show as far as getting in the lane and getting the basket. Molly can get in the lane, but she's undersized. She has problems struggling or finishing at the rim, which, that's understandable. But yeah, I agree with you, and it'll be interesting to see how the outside game works as the season goes on. Again, so much that's going to be dependent on people shooting threes, not just Caitlin Clark.
I really admire how Hannah runs the court, and in lower level basketball, there's usually somebody that stands out that burns a lot of energy. So I hope we're patient with Hannah, because I love how she runs the court, and Caitlin finds her for the easy layups, which is as good as a post 2-pointer. So I hope we're patient with Hannah, because the way she runs the court, if I was coaching, I'm going to be asking a lot of my other bigs to sub her out, because I don't want Hannah to give up that hustle. And of course, she's going to burn a lot of energy, and she's it'd be hard for her to put in a lot of minutes and still capitalize on the best of what her game is, Cory.
Okay, so let's address a comment here in the chat. Yazuful, never seen that name in here. Her name is Sinano. There is no S in it. Why do people have such difficulty with it? Who said, did I say the name incorrectly?
No, Cory.
Who
There's
said
two things on me, Cory. One of them is Lady Hawks, which maybe I'm not technically correct.
Who said Sinano wrong?
I thought I did.
What did you say?
It's easy to pronounce, so I'm just assuming it's on me.
Oh, okay. Well, I'd like to know who said it wrong, because I know a lot of people say, I've heard a lot of people say Cesano or there's other people in the media that never got her name right. So I don't think you mispronounced it. Maybe you did, but it's, no big deal. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Correct. Sinano, right? Yes. Anyways, go ahead, Lemansky. Just defending my honor. It's been a long day and a long week.
Well, I've been attacked twice, and I'm still trying to learn. I mean, I have a desire to meet the proper way how we communicate as a society. I don't know how you do your job sometimes, because you do a nice job of the national media. Look what's put on a national basis, how hosts talk and treat people. So I think from the Hawkeye of the Storm is top shelf compared to national media. So as a society, the issue is, how do we be polite to people that try to do the right thing, and we enjoy on social media tearing people down? I don't know how you do your show, Cory, because I think you do an excellent job, and I get upset when people take shots over petty stuff.
Well, you know what?
And we don't need to go.
I used to kind of get upset, not upset, but annoyed when people would rip me on social media. And now usually I just laugh. Because usually it's humorous to me. But we have a right to defend ourselves, whether it's the Boston Tea Party or somebody's out of line. And it's really interesting to me, and not to get off the women's game. And I'm doing it, and I apologize to the chat, but we have a right to defend ourselves for our viewpoints. And what's interesting to me is when somebody's talking about how you pronounce a certain lady's name because they think it's close for our viewpoint. Am I still here, Cory? I got you, Lemansky.
So I just talked about our last big gal last year. I had the utmost respect for, and I still get ripped about her name. So you got to take my comments in its entirety. So the person that's criticizing me for pronouncing her name, I'm just saying, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. my comment about Hannah is, I think Lisa's still playing with minutes, and I find it interesting when people talk about minutes and former coaches and all that. And I have less interest in that until we get deeper into the season before I start making comments about Lisa managing minutes. But that's just my opinion. And if there's anything else, Cory, I'm kind of done with my 2 cents.
Well,
I'd be happy not to call. I'd be happy not to call in as much, and that's just to the chat. Maybe I didn't get enough sleep last night, but just to the chat, I welcome people that call in. So I'm very careful not to put in the chat to criticize callers or to criticize sponsors. There's a hell of a lot more important things to talk about than that. And I'm an Iowa graduate. Thanks for your time, Cory.
Lemansky, thank you, sir. I like how Lemansky just drops the hammer, drops the mic, and then leaves. Appreciate that, sir. All right, let's go to, I think, our final caller. Our Iowa Smokehouse call-in line. Who's on the line?
That would be me, Chris from Lansky, Wyoming.
Hey, Chris, how are you?
I'm doing good. So I love the game. I have to say that at the beginning, I was concerned, like what was going on underneath. Rutgers was really scrappy and really messing with us and getting the ball. And I thought, what is going on down here? Because we're usually so good handling the ball. So you have any thoughts on that?
Well, my only thoughts on that specifically, Chris, are with Sharon Goodman. She seems to have problems catching Caitlin's passes at times. Don't you think she's kind of has, I don't want to call her Butterfingers, but she had a couple of mishandles today. And I mean, it's all about rhythm, right? When you're going back and forth. So
exactly.
Anyways, yeah, I would agree with you. But again, this team was just so overmatched tonight in Iowa. It doesn't help if you're Rutgers when your best player that's on the floor can't be on the floor because of foul trouble. And everybody else started making threes for Iowa, which has not been the case.
I thought that I started thinking Caitlin must have been watching the film on, what was her name, Adams, the one that got in foul trouble.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're talking about Destiny Adams. Yep.
Yeah, she was taking it to her. So she had to, in my opinion, she had to have seen a weakness in her game. And I think that was pretty calculated on Caitlin's part to get her out of there.
Well, a couple of those fouls were good plays by Molly Davis. And you talk about Molly Davis's ability to draw a charge. We talk about her being kind of undersized. She's tough for her size, and being able to. The thing with the women's game is, we know, as you know, Chris, this year that whole restricted circle is no longer restricted. So basically, that line doesn't mean anything as long as a player is in position and not moving, not shifting, and is actually square. In fact, I don't know that that's been enforced as well as it could have been, and at least as it relates to being square to a ball handler. But tonight there were a couple of plays that were called charges that I didn't think Molly or whoever the other player was got square. And but again, no restricted arc anymore, and as long as you're in place, you got a chance at drawing a charge.
Yeah. So it was kind of like watching it. It was confusing to me because you really couldn't see what was going on down there. And then Rutgers was really disrupting our play, like getting the ball. And I thought, that's why I said, what is going on? This kind of stuff usually doesn't happen. Yeah. And it was happening down low. Back to
fundamentals, whether it's Hannah, whether it's Sharon or Addison. Those are fundamental things that I'm sure are worked on every single week and will continue to be worked on through the latter half of the season. You're never too advanced to stop working on fundamentals. I'll tell you that.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, we agree on that. Well, we agree on about everything, I think. But I just want to put my 2 cents in about the trolls. I spend a lot of time on YouTube, and there's a lot of trolls out there. You have to be intolerant of them. They start bashing you and your sponsors. Don't even talk to them. Just get them out of there. Block them. That's my opinion. Because I've seen other people get defensive. They take it personally, because it's a shot and you don't deserve it. you put yourself out there, you don't deserve it. I think you do a great job.
Well, I appreciate
So.
that, Chris. And please continue to spread the word. I know there's probably not a ton of Hawkeye fans out in Wyoming, but do what you can. We appreciate it.
There is an Iowa State fan, but I don't think I can get her to watch your show.
I got enough of those to deal with hearing names, so I'll stick with them.
Okay. Well, thanks, Cory.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it. All right. Thank you to Katie Lee in the chat. Thank you, Katie. We enjoyed listening through football season. Look forward to listening through basketball season. It's time to put our money where our mouth is. I do appreciate that support, Katie, and it is very much appreciated. Very much appreciated. Thanks for being a part of the football coverage and men's and women's basketball coverage. We've got some great guests coming up. I keep teasing those guests. They're coming, in addition to Gary Close being with us throughout the remainder of men's basketball season. So thank you for the donation, Katie. And Lansky, thank you as well for being here and for the donation. Following Katie Lee and agree, show appreciation. It is very much appreciated on your part, Lansky. Brandon talked about the RTI Threads hoodie, and we mentioned our RTI Threads player of the game, Gabby Marshall, with her 12 points, 4 of 7 from the field. Nice day for Gabby, and she needed it from outside. Corbin wants to know prediction for Iowa, Indiana. Boy, did I hear Indiana had a perfect first quarter the other night. Was it yesterday? Shot perfect from the field in the first quarter. I would have to think that Iowa is going to be the favorite in that game. It is in Carver. You're talking about the one end of next week. But they do have Purdue first. I'm sure the focus over the next 5 days will be on Purdue. But Indiana, probably the second best team in the conference right now. This could easily end up being a battle for number one in the conference come end of next week. Corbin wants to know how I am. I'm good. Thank you for asking, Corbin. Do you think Iowa football would be better on offense? I sure hope so. Don't we all? We'll talk about that more. I don't want to go on a diversion about football. I want to stay true to our show for now. Dale, thank you for the appreciation to me and to the sponsors. Very much appreciated, Dale. Michael says, this is one of the best starts for Hawkeye women ever. Well, I don't have the historical stats in front of me, Michael, but I'd have to think yes. I'd have to go back and look to see what they were at this point. They sure weren't undefeated at this point last year. They may have had 2 losses. I'm just trying to think back to last season. I want to say they beat Oregon State, I think, right? Out the Portland tournament. And then I want to say did they lose to North Carolina out there? I'd have to go back and look at the schedule, but absolutely 1 loss through 16, 17 games. And they got a chance. I mean, they should beat Purdue next week, even though that game's on the road, and you're at home against Indiana. So this streak absolutely can continue. Let's see. That's not true. Okay, he's talking about recruiting here. That's not true, Cory. You talked about prized incoming recruit Aaliyah Guyton on the channel a few months back. Yes. Not that I don't do any recruiting stuff, but as it relates to predicting where recruits are going to go, I don't do that. I'm not good at that. I don't even try it with football or men's basketball. I really cannot be an authority as it relates to the women's game. I hope they get Madden Greenway because she's one of the best players in the country. David, thank you for being a premium member. And he says best start since 99. So I'm sure that's good information. Thank you, David. Ryan says, when Dolph hangs it up, would you please apply to be the voice of the Hawkeyes? Well, I appreciate that, Ryan, but I'm pretty sure. Well, I don't know. I don't know if I've said negative. I don't know that would be something Iowa would even consider. I don't even know that it'd be something I would consider, but I do appreciate the vote of confidence, Ryan. You're very kind, so do appreciate you being here as always as well. And I know Ryan is a proud supporter of our sponsors. Again, final score this evening, folks. Iowa 103, the Rutgers Scarlet Knights, the Rutgers women, falling at home 103-69 to the Iowa Hawkeyes behind 29 points for Caitlin Clark, 10 rebounds for Caitlin, 10 assists for Caitlin. Sydney Fulcher also had a double-double, 10 points, 10 rebounds. Hannah Stolke, 10 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists. Gabby Marshall was our player of the game, 12 points on 4 threes. Need her production to go up. Hopefully this is a sign of things to come. Sharon Goodman had 8 points, 4 rebounds. Kate Martin, 17 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. Molly Davis, 8 points, 5 assists. So solid all the way around. And the Hawkeyes will get back on the hardwood next Wednesday out in West Lafayette to take on the Purdue Boilermakers. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you, Barbara and Brandon. Appreciate everybody being here. We'll continue to talk about football as the weekend continues and the month continues. So stick it right here from the Hawkeye of the Storm. Have a great night. Once again, one final shout out to our fine sponsors. I mentioned RTI Threads, but also if you've not put in an order yet from Iowa Smokehouse, do it. What are you waiting for? Don't let your snacking needs go unnoticed. Iowa Smokehouse will fill all those snacking needs and then some, whether you're talking about their beef jerky, their salsas, their barbecue sauces, or their meat sticks. It's all great, and it's all available to be delivered at your doorstep at iowasmokehouse.com. Use the code Hawkeyes, 15% off your order with that code Hawkeyes. Tasting is believing with Iowa Smokehouse. Iowa Smokehouse, thank you for supporting the call-in line tonight as well. It's always a fun time to interact with you all callers. Please have a good night. Be safe this weekend. We'll talk to you tomorrow after Iowa Rutgers on the men's side, hopefully talking about a much-needed Hawkeye win at home. We'll talk to you tomorrow.